Joining us now, former Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, who has been through this before. This was sort of the first public search, right, for a vice president. But just tell us, what's it like, even when it's done privately, to be on the short list and have from April until July the kind of media scrutiny all these folks are getting?
Well, yeah, it's the ultimate Veepskates. And you mentioned it. Kristi Noem was the first one to see just how difficult that could be. Obviously, she blew up her chances with the release of this new book and maybe even permanently killed her political career. But for these others, you're going to see highs and lows. Someone just recently in the last day asked me about Texas Governor Greg Abbott. I said, yeah, when he was down at the border, former President Trump said what a fabulous job he did. He'd be a great candidate for being on the ticket with him. That doesn't mean he's going to pick him. It means Donald Trump likes to try these things out, see what the response is, see what the kind of media scrutiny is at. And then, as he did 8 years ago, he may very well pick someone that none of us, or very few of us, are even talking about right now and surprise the electorate. So nothing is certain.
Yeah, you think about past VP picks have always been slotted to do something or to provide something that the man at the top of the ticket could not. Kamala Harris solved Biden's old white guy problem. Pence solved Trump's problems with evangelicals. Biden solved Obama's inexperience problem. Does Glenn Younkin and Rupert Murdoch talking about Glenn Younkin so much, does that speak to a certain problem that Donald Trump has?
Yeah, I think whether it's Glenn Younkin, who's done a fabulous job as governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and his popularity is still very high, even after being about 2 years into winning that remarkable campaign. This is a guy who was able to make his own case while still not being distant from President Trump, a rare balance these days where he was able to pick up independent and swing voters in a once considered blue state. He stayed remarkably popular because he's competent, because he gets the job done. It's why I think the best pick, whether it's Glenn Younkin or a list of other names, for example, Governor Kim Reynolds in Iowa, I think would be another pick. To your question, the reason why people like that would be good on the ticket is competency. It says, hey, this is a guy, you may not always like his tweets or his comments occasionally here or there, but he gets the job done. If he puts someone on who's a proven problem solver, I think that helps make the case as well.
Betting odds right now for the VP, obviously you've had Kristi Noem drop way off.
Yeah.
This is if you bet 22 cents on Tim Scott, you make $1. Doug Burgum's at 15 cents, JD Vance 13 cents. It goes down from there for what Trump's pick would be. And just inside baseball, because sometimes it's kind of fun to pull the curtain back. Karl Rove wrote a long piece about picking the vice president in the Wall Street Journal, which is also owned by Rupert Murdoch. And then you get this leak about Murdoch and Younkin. I've heard through my own reporting that Younkin's name suddenly is starting to pop up in conversations. What do you make that Rove's column in the Wall Street Journal didn't mention Younkin's name?
Oh, I think right now it's probably because the initial sentiment is, if anything, the people supporting him are looking ahead to 28 and beyond in hopes that he might be a future top of the ticket candidate because of the remarkable job that he's done. But I think in the end, the key, and you mentioned all those past picks, the key is to do no harm. You know, it used to be about geographical balance. Sure, it doesn't hurt to have someone from or near a key battleground state like many in the Midwest, for example. But I think it doesn't hurt to make inroads into some key demographics, non-traditional Republican voters. That's obviously why someone like Senator Tim Scott, who's very competent in his own right. But in the end, it's really about doing no harm. So I think it was probably considered a distant pick before, but I wouldn't be surprised, for example, North Dakota Governor Burgum. Doug Burgum's a competent guy, made a lot of money, sold his company to Microsoft, is a business leader, but isn't going to overshadow the top of the ticket. That's a kind of pick that might seem odd to many, but again, it puts all the focus on Donald Trump, and it reinforces a sense of competency.
Yeah. You make a great point in terms of not overshadowing. If you were to look at that whole list and think about the guy who is most like Mike Pence, it would be Doug Burgum, unquestionably. Good to see you, Governor. Thank you for the time. We appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.